Let's now talk to Avihai Stollar. He's a former soldier in the Israeli army and now a member of the Breaking the Silence rights group, which blew the whistle on abuses by Israeli soldiers. Now, your organisation has accused the Israeli army of abusing Palestinian children and using them as human shields. Is this something that you witnessed during your time in the armed forces?
First of all, yeah. I mean, I served a few years ago, but one of the examples that I can think of was that in one of the raid operations that we had, that we basically invaded the Palestinian town in south to the city of Hebron, children started throwing stones at us. So at some point we picked a random kid that didn't even necessarily throw stones at us and used him as a shield so that the stones that were being thrown by his friends or by his supposed friends would hit him instead of us. We were hoping that that would stop him somehow, that would stop his friends from throwing stones. Obviously it didn't help and he just got injured in the occasion.
And was it that or any other incidents that prompted you during your time in the army that made you want to speak out?
Well, I have to say that when it comes to children, I mean, as you can witness from the testimonies that we published and from my own experiences as a soldier, I have to say that the main point here is that there is no real distinction when it comes to the treatment between adults and children. The treatment in the end is basically the same. I mean, for example, we were doing constant arrest operations throughout the West Bank, arresting I don't know how many people, on a nightly basis. And many of the people that we were arresting were either children or teenagers that in most occasions we didn't even know why they were being arrested for. And many of those children, by the way, were afterwards beaten up on the way back to base.
And do you think you'll be able to change the attitude with your organisation, Breaking the Silence rights group? Do you think you'll have an impact on soldiers' actions in the future now?
No. Well, I have to say that Breaking the Silence aim is not to educate the army and not to be, some kind of military police. Our aim is to basically tell our stories so the public, the Israeli public that sends us, to the West Bank or to missions of this kind, would basically know what's happening, on the day-to-day reality of occupation, of military occupation. Because in the end, it's a political decision to maintain this reality, and we're trying to make the public understand that there is no way of doing this in a moral way. It's not about education, it's not about proper conduct, it's about the fact that military occupation is immoral by definition, and children, I guess, are a big part of the people who get hurt and victimized in this reality.
So you want to educate the Israeli public. What sort of image does the army have among the public in your country?
I think that if there is one thing that Israelis think when they think about the army is this almost a mantra here, that we have the most moral army in the world. And to be honest, I don't really know about the conduct of other armies. I only know from my own experiences and from the testimonies that we collected about the conduct of Israeli soldiers. And what can I say? And what I can say in this sense, in the end, is that there is this gap between what Israelis expect, which means that everything that happens is always a result of Palestinian hostilities, and everything that we do on the ground is essential in order to provide security for the Israeli public. And we're here to say that when you send 19-year-olds to do policing job, to control through the barrel of the gun hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, in the end, these are the outcomes of their actions. This is the outcomes of a military occupation.
Just briefly, Israel has also blocked...
That's what we're coming to show the Israeli public.
Sure, and therefore, the idea of stopping humanitarian aid, I'm going to ask you the question about Israel blocking pro-Palestinian activists from bringing school supplies into the West Bank. Why would they want to stop humanitarian aid? And that sort of action, what does that do for Israel's reputation?
Well, I think it's less about stopping humanitarian help to Palestinians and more about trying to block the outside world, if it's Israelis or if it's people from the international community, from actually seeing and exposing the day-to-day reality that exists there. I think that's the main reason why the Israeli government is doing everything it can, first of all, to silence organizations like my own, like Breaking the Silence, and stopping international activists from reaching the West Bank and assisting the Palestinians there. That, I think, is the main reason why they're stopping there. And what is it doing to the Israeli reputation? It's definitely not helping it. But I think that Israel's problem is not a foreign relations problem. It's not about, how we, present ourselves to the world. It's the political reality that in many ways we decide to eternalize, and the way that in the end it's implemented on the ground.
Good to talk to you, Avihai. Very interesting to hear your perspective. Avihai Stollar, former soldier in the Israeli army and now member of Breaking the Silence Rights Group there in Jerusalem. Thank you for your time.